So hello everyone, my name is Timothy Noah. I'm a senior product designer on the growth team, and welcome to this UX showcase. I'm going to be talking you through some of the customer portal Pajamas migration work, which has been long in the works, and I'm really excited to share some of the findings and some of the processes that we went through. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to be talking about the problem, what we did, and then the learnings, very high level. And thanks to Figma, incredibly bold. So first, the problem. So before I talk about the problem specifically, it's good to look at the types of people that are actually using the customers portal. I've just listed out some personas there for you. The dev manager or team lead, dev director and architect, a dev VP, and chief information security officer, along with a VP of infrastructure, which is still being determined. These people are managers, high level, and majority of the time, whether or not they're purchasing on behalf of .com or self-managed, they have time limitations. And it's really important that they're able to conduct transactional things as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. And that was one of the problems that we saw with the current customers portal. So the challenges with the previous design, and the reason that sparked this, when we were actually going through user interviews on another issue, and a lot of the questions pointed back to the customers portal. And what we found was through incorrect product purchases. So people were buying two of the same products because the UI interactions weren't as robust as they needed to be. Multiple purchases multiple purchase steps, for something that could be done on a single page. We were kind of leading people through 2 to 3 steps. And then lack of visual consistency. That was one of the big ones, actually. It was really important to make sure that when someone lands on the customers portal, they feel familiar. It feels intuitive, and it aligns with the patterns that we currently have across our complete product suite. And that kind of led me to this crossroads that I believe the customers portal was in. It could go left and be more aligned with the about marketing website. It could be its own standalone product with its own design system, or it could align with Pajamas. And the foundation would be Pajamas components being implemented inside of the customers portal. And that was the route that we chose. And thanks to help from Tori and a number of different engineers and designers, we landed on, through iterating, we landed on a succinct approach to tackle this problem. So what we did, firstly, it was a heuristic evaluation, and that's just a very technical way of saying we identified usability problems in the user interface, and then went about seeking how we might solve them. So an example of this is the previous design of the customers portal, and specifically the managed purchases page. And upon immediate kind of dissecting of this page, you can kind of see where there are some low-hanging fruit that we can improve here. And that's kind of the basis of the heuristic evaluation. It was to look at the navigation. So this was kind of an in-between. I spoke about that crossroads previously. It was an in-between between the marketing website and Pajamas, and didn't really live anywhere. And so I thought that could definitely be worked on to introduce some patterns that were familiar across the product. Information architecture, so why CTAs are above others, the positioning of cards, and the actual presentation of the licensing component on the page, really kind of dissecting what bits of information should be above others and what should be given more prominence. An example of that for this section, going into the component anatomy, so the actual anatomy of the license subscription box itself. Why is the subscription ID the title or heading? Shouldn't it be the actual product itself, and potentially leaving the ID as metadata underneath, just so it's easier to identify the products that you have and whether or not they align with .com or they align with the self-managed instance. Thanks to the front-end team, we also did a component review. So along with the heuristic evaluation, that was a page-by-page conducting of research. The component review was also a page-by-page conducting of research, and we really wanted to see where there were some quick wins, so we can draw some alignment with the Pajamas and GitLab UI. So for forms and for buttons, it was a pretty simple 1-to-1 ratio. it became a little bit more tricky when you start tackling and digging deep into license component sections and all of the different edge cases. But this was a worthwhile experiment to undertake, and it really helped us to pinpoint where we could break this process down into phases. And this was a phased approach. This goes all the way back to even before 12.6, to be honest with you. The first phase was typography using OS font stacks, so aligning that with what we currently do in GitLab UI. The colors and also spacing, so the colors being what we have in our GitLab UI, and also spacing being the 8 display pixels that we're currently using. Phase 2 was going to be the navigation, templating structures, and integration of GitLab UI, and the full integration of GitLab UI, I should say. And then lastly, it would be the beautification stage. And just to give you an idea, we're at the end of phase 2 going into phase 3, just if you wanted to know where we are in the current implementation. So it was an iterative design process. And for the sake of time, I'm just giving you an example of one page. This is the My Account page. And as you can see, there are splitting up of information across the page in different compartmentalized boxes. And we really wanted to break that out into a pattern that we currently see being used on GitLab.com. And so at the start of the process, this is the first iterative design. You can see that there was some thinking around how we might tackle the navigation and draw it more in line with the product. Also, borrowing patterns from what we have currently in the product. So specifically speaking of the settings general page, where we list out these different lists per forms. And so this was just an experimentation of what we could do. And at the end of each of these design cycles, it was tested with some users, and then also the feedback jotted down and reworked into later iterations. And unlike the product, I thought it was important that we had a title for each of one of the pages that we're going to be implementing, mainly because on the product, it's the navigation and the breadcrumbs that are used to signify where you are on any given page. But for something that is as kind of rudimentary and straightforward as the portal, I thought it was important to give it a H1 to make sure people are grounded and know where they are. And then second phase, after some more testing and looking at currently what we currently have on offer on the product in terms of the different preferences for navigation systems, we landed on this specific design. And then also integrated the expand and collapse modules to show different parts of your journey along the account details page. And so it ties in a more fulfilling way what you're saving. Instead of saving a big long form, you're saving individual sections, and the save changes attaches itself to those individual sections. So very quickly, some further examples, and I'm sad that I can't go into extreme detail on how these worked, but this is the previous design, as I showed you before. And this is some of the reworkings and just some high-level thinking here. Again, the page titles, the lifting up of the product name, and then placing the metadata underneath the product name, and data that wasn't previously available. So the seat count and when it expires in easier terms. And a better way of segmenting your purchase for a subscription or a license with add-on products. And for that, we're just using the tabbed approach from our Pajamas system. And then lastly, I spoke about double steps to do something that can be done in one phase. This is an example of adding more seats to your self-managed license. You have to go through 2 steps. So firstly, you decide how many seats you want to add, and then there's another section where you have to decipher how that kind of translates into the discounts that or rebates that you're going to be due. So this is then led to thinking along the lines of one page with a select more seats section, purchase summary, where you can see an overview of what you're going to be buying, and then the billing information. And the billing information gives you the affordance to change your payment card details, and which you weren't originally allowed to do. You had to stick with your default method. So just some thinking there along those lines. So as I come to conclusion, some learnings the importance that feeds back into the rest of the design process. User observations. We realized that in the introduction of the different pages that have been released, there was a reduction in support tickets, better handling of product purchases and edge cases. And by that, I mean, you could go through a sales funnel and you may not have a product that specifically ties to something that we have on offer on the website. Reduce steps in the EDC model, and EDC meaning entry, decision, confirmation. A really kind of key significant role in making sure that the funnel is as succinct as possible. And a familiar product patterns. So when people land on the customers portal, they don't feel like they're in a foreign land. They do feel like they're at home within our suite of design UI. And internal observations, better understanding of the Pajamas components from team members. And this has helped us to facilitate some of the learnings there. Foundation for internal tooling. This allows us to be able to build out maybe the license app or the version app with the same structure as we have done with the customers portal. Easier to build experiments for the growth team as a whole. So Mate has been helping me translate all of the sketch files into Figma for future proofing, and this helps designers to take over and to build layered experiences on top. This helps also the fulfillment Q2 plans to improve stability and reliability of purchasing systems. This is another layer on top of that, and I think helps facilitate that plan. And fostering deeper collaboration. So just an example on that, I managed to stumble across Jeremy's navigation designs for docs inside of Figma. And I duplicated and then shared some kind of shared learning with him around maybe aligning our navigation systems, so the subtext and the navigations, so that they all feel like they belong to the same suite of products and families. And that is part in part due to the move to Figma. So yeah, I'm on the Figma lab train, if anyone didn't or needed confirmation of that. And as I come to full conclusion, I needed to say that the teamwork makes the dream work. This wouldn't have been possible without the help of Tori, Mike, Luca, Emily, Amar, Vitaly, Ragnar, and Chris, and Amanda, of course, on fulfillment. Your help has been tremendous, and I really appreciate the fast turnaround in some of those MRs. So thank you all.